Alright, this is LSAT PrepTest 20, Section 3, questions 1 through 5. The first logic game of this test. Okay, so what do we have? We have each of 7 travelers, so we have N, O, P, R, S, T, and U. Will be assigned to exactly one of 9 airplane seats. Seats are numbered 1 through 9, arranged in rows as follows. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so only seats in the same rows as each other, immediately beside each other. Okay, so like basically like seat 2 and seat 5, for instance, these are not immediately beside each other, but 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 are, right? Okay. Seat assignments must meet the following conditions. Okay, Uribe's seat is in the last row, so Uribe is somewhere in this 3rd row. Paulson's seat is immediately next to Rosen's and also immediately next to an unassigned seat. Okay. Right, so it's got to be one of these two things, right? Because Paulson is next to both of these guys, so R and the blank seat can switch, but P has to be in the middle. Okay, so this actually, you know, like now that I think about it, constitutes one full row, right? These 3 people, you know, you can put them 1, 2, and 3, they're completely determined, right? And actually, you know, if you combine this rule with your first rule, you know that it can't be the 3rd row, right? Because Uribe's got to be in this 3rd row, right? So either this PR blank row has to be the 2nd row or the 1st row. Okay, what else do we know? Rosen's seat is in the row immediately behind the row in which Norris's seat is located. Okay, so Norris is in the seat, or is in the row ahead of R. Okay, so now we know exactly what's going on, right? We know that Norris, you know, so since this can't be in the 3rd row, it's got to be the 2nd or 1st. N has to be in the row ahead of R, right? So it means that Norris has to be in the 1st row here, and then this blank PR or RP blank thing has to be in the 2nd row. Okay, so we sort of, you know, taken care of all those rules, so let's get rid of them down here. Okay, what else do we know? We know that neither S or U is seated immediately beside N. So basically, NS slash and NU slash, in any order, cannot happen. Right? Okay, so this is the big deduction of the game, right? Like this one right here is that, okay, O has to be in these 3, so this row is completely constituted, right? Like we know all the elements in this row has to be this middle row, which means that there's only so many places that we can go, right? Like N has to be in this 1st row, so that's got a rule attached to it. P and R have rules attached to them, and O also has a rule attached to it. Right? So basically what we have is that, you know, S and U, their only rule is they can't be immediately next to N, and then T is actually a true floater here. It actually just like tan just does whatever he wants. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and box this off and see if we can figure out some questions here. Okay, so question 1. Which of the following is a pair of travelers could be assigned to seats 2 and seat 8 respectively? Okay, so what do we have? We have NS, we have OU, we have PO, we have RS, and we have UT. Okay. So how can we start eliminating? Okay, so the first thing is that obviously Norris has to be in the first row, right? So that makes answer choice A look okay, right? And none of the others have an N in them, so okay, I'll forget it, right? Next thing is that P and R both have to be in the 2nd row, right? Which means that they can't show up anywhere here because we're talking about seat 2 and seat 8, which is row 1 and row 3, right? So P and R can't show up anywhere. So get rid of that, get rid of that. They both violate this rule that P and R, you know, like or our deduction rather, that P and R have to be in the middle. Okay, how about the rest of them? How about this rule? O being in row 3, right, means that O can't ever occupy the 2nd seat. Remember, this is seat 2 and seat 8, right? So O could occupy seat 8, absolutely, but he can't occupy seat 2, so that's not right. Which leaves us with NS or UT, right? Okay, so the thing that we still haven't done or still haven't considered here are these 2 rules. Obviously, there's an S here, and there's a U here, right? So you just have to figure out, well, you know, which one of these is more likely to trigger the rule. Well, it turned like since N is in the 1st slot, I'm thinking that U, you know, is going to be more likely to trigger than S is, right? S in the A slot down here, right? And it turns out that if you put U in slot 2, there's no way you can avoid putting him next to N, right? Which means that E is also not correct. So it turns out answer choice A is the correct answer to number 1. Okay. Number 2. If S and U are not assigned to seats in the same row as each other, which of the following must be false? Okay. So once again, we can reproduce our thing. N has to be here, O has to be here, or RP blank has to be here. And now S and U are not assigned to the same row as each other. So I mean, this row is actually, you know, completely full, We know exactly what's going on in this row, so we kind of don't even have to consider it, right? So really what's going on here is that you have to have one of S or U up here, you have one of S or U down here, and then T kind of floats freely. T still just does whatever he wants, right? Because we have to separate out S and U, and we can't use this middle line to separate them out. Okay, so which of the following must be false? Let's go ahead and take a look. So answer choice A. Norris assigned to seat 2. Can Norris ever be assigned to seat 2? No, he can't, because S and U both have to be, one of S or U has to be in this top row right here. Right, so if N is in seat 2, he's always got to be next to either S or U, and you can't have either one of those. So answer choice A looks really good. How about answer choice B? Now just go through the rest of these and just see. Right, so Paulson being assigned to seat 5, he has to be assigned to seat 5. Not only could that, does that not have to be false, but it actually has to be true. Okay, how about answer choice C? Rosen is assigned to seat 4. You could do that, right? RP blank, right? Why not? That doesn't have to be false. How about D? Tan is assigned to seat 2. Yeah, Tan can do whatever he wants, right? So if you put T in the middle here, then you put N and S and U, you get to split them up, basically, right? So basically, if T is in this first slot, he has to be in the middle so that we can split up N and S and U according to the rule. How about E? Underwood is assigned to seat 1. Yeah, why not? You put Underwood here, you put Norris here, and then you put S, whatever S stands for, Seminelli, down in this third one to hang out with O, right? And then T just goes wherever it wants. Yeah. So we've proven to ourselves thusly that answer choice A here is the correct answer. Let's actually go ahead and shrink this, or actually move this a little bit, and shrink this a little bit, so that this looks a little neater, and we actually have like a line for questions here. Okay, moving on to number 3. So number 3 says, if Seminelli is assigned to a seat in the same row as Underwood, which one of the following travelers could be assigned to a seat immediately beside the one of the unassigned? Okay, so now we know that S and U have to be in the same row, right? Which means that what do we know? Well, again, this row is entirely spoken for. It's the R/P/blank sort of, like wherever these R and P go, just whatever. But now U and S have to be in the same row together, which begs the question, like, well, which row could they go, right? So here we know that N's got to go here. Down here we know that O's got to go here, and so immediately you see that if S and U have to be in the same row together, they can't be in row 1, right? Because I mean and at that case, both of them would be next to U, and we would violate this rule twice, right? So S and U actually have to be down here in row 3, which means that there's no more space in 2, there's no more space in 3, and so T must be up here with N, right? Okay, so what are they asking us? They're asking us which of the following travelers could be assigned to a seat immediately beside one of the unassigned seats, right? So we don't even have to look at the answer choices to figure this out, right? This is a full row, right? Now that we know that S and U are the same row and they have to be with O, this is a full row, so there's no empty seats here. So none of these guys can be sitting next to an empty seat. Over here, Paulson, we know, always sits next to an empty seat. So P is one of our candidates, right? And then up here, if you split out T and N to 1 and 3, it doesn't matter what order they're in. You also realize that T and N can sit next to an unassigned seat, right? So looking at these answer choices, which answer choice is that? Well, A, B, and C, O, no, R, no, S, no. Answer choice D, T, right here, right? And answer choice E is U, again, no, right? So answer choice D is the answer here. Question 4, if the seat to which Tan is assigned is immediately beside a seat assigned to another traveler, and also immediately beside one of the unassigned seats. Okay, so wherever Tan is assigned, there's got to be a traveler here, and there's also got to be an unassigned seat, or the other way around, right? There's a traveler, T, and then unassigned seat. Then which of the following must be true? Okay, so once again, we reproduce our chart. We know, as usual, that this P, R blank, thing is taking up this middle slot. This is still O, or I'm sorry, no, that's N up there, and this is O down here, right? And so now we know that T has got to be next to a full slot and an empty slot. Okay, so the question just becomes, can we, like, obviously you can't put it in row 2, so does it have to be row 1 or row 3, right? Either it's blank TN and then OSU, or down here it's like blank TO and then wait a second, right? If we copy this out, we can really see visually what's going on here. Because if we put, because this new information we have is now like a complete constituted row, right? So if we put it over here, you have blank TN or NT blank. It just kind of doesn't matter which, right? Which means that you put O and S and U somewhere down here, right? And that could work, right? But how about over here? What if we put T next to a blank space and then next to O, or O and blank over here? It just doesn't matter, right? Then what happens? Then N gets stuck with S and U, N, S, U, and no matter how you frame that, N is always going to be next to 1 or S or U, and this can't happen, right? So this is the scenario that has to be true, right? So let's actually look at these answer choices, A, B, C, D, and E, and let's figure out what must be true. Like this stuff must be true. So okay, answer is A. T is assigned the first row. There you go. Has to be it. He has to be in the first row, because if he's in the last row, then things fall apart. Right, looking at the rest of these, Tan is assigned to the last row. Absolutely not. Uribe is assigned to a seat immediately beside Seminelli. It could be true, but it could be O-U-S, right? It just doesn't, it doesn't have to be the case that O and S are together. O is assigned to a seat immediately beside T. No, because O's got to be down here and T's got to be up here, right? And how about E? Seminelli is assigned to a seat immediately beside Underwood. That doesn't have to be the case. It could be S-O-U or U-O-S, right? There's no reason S and U have to be together. Okay, so answer is A is the correct answer to question 4. Okay, home stretch. Question 5. If Uribe is assigned to a seat immediately beside one of the unassigned seats, which of the following must be true? Okay, so Uribe blank seat, right? So once again, this row is taken up by our RP blank shenanigans, right? N is up here, O is down here, and now we know that O is assigned is next to an unassigned seat, right? So on either direction, he's next to an unassigned seat. So we just don't know where it is. But the bottom line is, because he's next to an unassigned seat, there's maximum of 2 people that we can place here, which is a little bit of a problem, I guess, right? Because we have S, T, and U to place, right? So the first thing is that obviously we can't put both S and U up here with N, right? So this max 2 actually starts to come into play. It's going to be O, it's going to be a blank, and it's going to be one of S or U, right? One of S or U has to be up here, which means the other of S or U has to be over here. Alongside T, right? The only way that the numbers work, is that we've only got 2 blanks. We got one of them here, and now they're telling us we have another one down here, right? So that means that this is the way that it has to be. Oops. Let's go ahead and instead of deleting that, let's move that over here, right? So O blank SU in some order here, N SU T somewhere over here. Okay. So what do they want out of this? They want which of the following must be true. Well, okay. Do we know anything for sure? Well, we do know for sure that T's got to be in the middle here, right? T's got to be in the middle here because N and no matter which one of S or U you pick, they can't be together, right? So either it's got to be N and then one of S or U, or the other way around, which means that the only place that T can go is right smack dab in the middle, right? How about these other guys? O, we don't really have any rules for. S and U, we don't really have any rules for. So that's really all we know. All right. So now let's take a look at some answer choices, see what we can figure out. So answer is A. Uribe assigned to seat 8. He could be, right? Seat 8's right here. So O, he's next to a blank, he's next to S or U. He could be, but must he be? No. He could also be like O blank SU, right? He just has to be seated next to a blank. He doesn't have to be on any particular side of him. So answer is A. Could be true, but doesn't have to be true. How about B? T is assigned to seat 2. There we go, right there. Answer is B has to be the answer. Looking at the rest of these, answer is C. Underwood is assigned to seat 1. It doesn't have to be the case, right? What if Norris is assigned to seat 1, then Underwood could be assigned to seat 3. Or Underwood doesn't even have to be up here, right? Underwood could be down here, and then S could be up here. So answer is C doesn't have to be true. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Seat 4 is unassigned. It could be true, right? Blank PR, but it doesn't have to be true. It could also be RP blank. And then how about E? Seat 9 is unassigned. It could be true, right? If O is in the middle, seat 9 can be unassigned. But if O is not in the middle, seat 9 has to be assigned. Right? So, that's all there really is to it. Answer is B is the correct answer to this question, and that's the game.